New tonight, we're uncovering new details in investigations of toxic air coming from two Metro Atlanta plants. We've learned toxic gas leaks were found at both of those plants.
That's right. One of those leaks lasted for at least 11 days before anyone even noticed. Ryan Kruger is digging into the latest developments right now. Ryan?
Yeah, Ron and Aisha, I dug through the numbers to find out what each company is doing right now to try to stop those leaks.
85 pounds of ethylene oxide leaked into the skies of Covington 3 years ago. The BD plant says a gasket failed and caused the leak. It took 30 minutes to stop it. The leak was reported to the state's Environmental Protection Division. Now compare that to the leak last month at the Sterigenics plant in Smyrna, which spurred an emergency investigation from the state, but it was less than 6 pounds. That leak was never reported because the law doesn't require them when it's that small. For weeks, neighbors of the Sterigenics and BD plants have expressed their concerns.
I think that they need to shut down immediately.
I have a wife who's going in tomorrow morning for her 6th operation for breast cancer.
And while the plants work with the same cancer-causing toxin, there are big differences between them. Let's take a look. First, the emissions that are reported to the EPA. Up until 2016, Sterigenics pumped 4 times as much ethylene oxide into the air as BD, but that changed in 2016 when the company made improvements. They've cut down to a level well below BD. Both companies fall within all legal guidelines, and the plants are promising changes, but we have more specifics from Sterigenics. That company already has an agreement with the state in place to start construction soon on a plan to reduce emissions dramatically, while BD has promised $8 million in improvements, but hasn't released specific details on what those improvements will be.
And activists have called for the plants to be shut down. So far, though, no movement from the state on that front. Sterigenics employs just 30 people at the plant in Smyrna. Meanwhile, BD has 800 full-time workers. It's one of the largest employers in Rockdale County.